Good evening! Who all here is still alive? Okay, so, what's this video? I'll tell you what this video is. I am preparing to run a 7-episode Star Trek Attack Wing campaign. These videos are going to be semi-interactive, kind of like that old, like the VHS board games where you put it in and the TV plays while you play the game. Anyway, so this is going to be, it's not going to be like your normal Star Trek missions where you pull them out of the expansion pack and you play them. This is going to have a continuous storyline. 7 episodes, you play through it, you keep the same ship from episode to episode. So, why am I doing this? I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I just finished running basically the same thing for the X-Wing game, and it turned out really cool, although it didn't have all these interactive videos. It just had videos that explain the story. So this time I thought, everyone's, inside their houses because of the COVID crisis. Why not make videos that explain all the rules and how to run it, so then everyone can run it, and if I get bored one day in the future or whatever, I can just play the videos and run the campaign without myself having to do any extra work. So, third point, what is a campaign? Well, a campaign in gaming is when you play a series of games and there is a fluent story between it. Imagine if you were to play like a single player video game and you imagined each level is a game session. So Star Trek Attack Wing doesn't have a campaign. They're working on one called Alliance. I think it's already been designed, and I encourage you to go out and buy it. Support the product. But as it stands, all Attack Wing has is these mission cards. And I think there is maybe at least two missions that are connected by story, as in you can play mission 1, mission 2. Anyway, this is going to be 7 missions for you to play. However, unlike a mission you get from an expansion pack, these aren't going to be like you both read the mission and you play it. With this, you're going to have one game master who runs the mission. They know the rules for the mission, they know how to set it up, and they know the story that's going on. And then you're going to have at least one protagonist, which is going to be a player who keeps the same ship between every mission, and they are the main character per se. You can have more of these guys. So you can have, if you have 3 people, you could have 1 person running it, and then 2 people playing it. And you can mix up the roles if you want, but I encourage keeping 1 game master for all 7 episodes, so that way there are no spoilers revealed. Because there's going to be some, withheld information. Okay, so what is the rough story? Well, I just said, I'm going to keep some information secret, so I'm not going to actually tell you what the story's about right now, but I will tell you what the backstory is. You are playing as a Federation captain, newly promoted. Starfleet is currently going through retrofits of all of their starships, so before they send you out on a 5-year mission, they want to test your skills. They're putting you in command of a skeleton cruise ship. It might be a new warship, it might be a medical frigate, or it might be an old Miranda class that really should have been decommissioned 10 years ago. Whatever your ship might be, you aren't armed to the teeth. Your main job right now is just simply to fly this ship over to Tyto Station. Tyto Station is a subspace relay of sorts. It sits there collecting data and transmitting it. Here at this station, located near the Romulan neutral zone, your ship will be refitted. Its old subspace transmitter will be removed, and its new one will be installed and up to code. That's where the adventure begins. Something goes wrong, I won't tell you just what, and you are called into action, forced to deploy your understaffed ship on an emergency mission. And if you're lucky, by the end of the 7 episodes, you will have defeated a terrible plot. Okay, so the remainder of this video is divided into 2 parts. The basic orientation, which is for the players. It teaches them how to play this campaign, but it doesn't go into all the technical details of it. And then the advanced orientation, which is for the game masters, the people who are looking forward to actually running the game and hosting it for their friends. So let us begin with basic orientation. How to play? Well, how to play. First off, you need to know how to play the game, like Attack Wing. And I'm not going to explain how to do that right now. This is made for Attack Wing fans, so I'm running on the assumption you know how to play. But What you do when you play is you make your ship, and you make your ship once, unless it gets destroyed or you prestige. And I'm not going to talk about prestiging here. If you want to know what prestiging is, talk to your GM. But you make your ship, and you watch a video. The video explains what the mission's going to be. It's going to speak to you as if you are the character. It'll be all like, incoming message from Starfleet Command. And the person will look to you, and the Admiral will be all like, this is an urgent matter. We need your assistance here. Blah, 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 blah. Techno, blah, blah, blah. Politics. Blah. Science. Anyway. So you'll do the mission. At the end of the mission, there is going to be a reward of some sort. And that is going to be based around how well you performed in the mission itself. So, first and foremost, how do you make a ship? Because making a character is the coolest part of any role-playing game. First things first, it's gotta be Federation. I'm sorry, but the way the story works, you gotta start out as Federation. Now, if you prestige, which again I won't go into in the basic orientation, you can unlock different factions. But at the beginning, you're Federation. So, you have to choose a Federation ship. And you can choose any Federation ship. And I mean any Federation ship. Heck, you could choose the Robinson of all ships. And that's a Dominion ship that's just Federation faction. But whatever Federation ship you choose determines the captain's skill of captain you can select. And I want to let you know right now, this game is not going to be perfectly balanced. This is not a competitive tournament. There isn't a ton of build restrictions. This is about you making a ship to carry your story. So you select your ship, look at its point value, and that determines which type of captain you can choose. So let's first look through my list here I have written down. If you select a ship that is 15 squad points or less, you may pick a captain of any skill you want. If you choose a ship of 16 to 20 squad points, you can choose a captain whose skill is 9 or lower. If the ship you choose is 21 or 22 squad points, then you can select a captain of skill 8 or lower. If you choose a ship that is 23 to 24 squad points, you can choose a captain of 7 skill or lower. If you choose 25 to 28 as your SP range for the ship, your captain has to be of skill 5 or lower. If you choose 29 to 30, you have to choose 4 or lower for your captain skill. 31 to 39, you have to choose 3 or lower, and if you choose anything that's 40 or higher squad points, you have to pick a captain's skill of 2. So that way, if later in the game you've made another ship and you have decided to pick some outrageously expensive thing, you're not going to be riding in with a high attack skill for your captain. Now you might be wondering why I said any skill you want and then immediately listed 9 or lower. There is one captain in the game who is captain skill 10, and it is a Q faction. So first ship you build is going to be locked to Federation only, and you can, when you pick a Federation ship, you have to choose a Federation captain. Captain's got to match the ship. However, if you are making your second ship because you've prestiged, or you're playing through this game a second time, you can choose a different faction, which means you could choose the Q captain if you want. Now, another very important detail is if you choose to pick a generic ship, which is a ship with no text on it, no special ability, then you can choose an admiral to go on your ship as well. And because there aren't too many admirals in the game, you can pick an admiral of any faction, any skill, any point value, as long as it doesn't have some restriction which says it can't go on your ship. So when starting out, you're going to have your ship, you're going to have your captain, and if you chose a generic, you're going to have an admiral. And there's one other thing you're going to need, because the first mission is going to introduce this. You're going to need to pick a crewman, a Federation crewman of 2 skill or lower. If you are prestiging and you have a different faction, you can choose crewmen of any faction. But it's 2 skill or lower. Not skill, sorry. 2 squad points or lower for this thing. And you're going to get more upgrades. You're going to get a lot more upgrades. And if you ever fill up your action bar, your slot, don't worry. We have things for what happens if you fill up your slots. But to begin, you're going to need a Federation starship, a Federation captain, maybe an admiral, and a crewman. And that's how you make your ship. 3 cards, possibly 4. It's up to you. And what you do is you're going to keep this ship with you throughout the whole game. Unless you prestige or you blow it up. If you blow it up, you're going to make a new one. If you prestige, you're going to get a second one. But yeah, and you're going to keep this with you. And you can either write this down on a piece of paper, write down what cards you're using, or you can just take a little baggie and put the cards in it and then tuck it in a box and then pull that out for next week. That's just a little life hack there. All right, on with the show. Finally, how do you use the videos? Well, video is pretty self-explanatory. You'll watch them. However, at the end of the video or during special parts of the video, there may be annotations on the screen. And those annotations will be for special information. If you are a game master, you might see an annotation appear. Well, there'll be an annotation that says setup. If you are the protagonist, the player, don't click that button. That button's going to spoil the mission, and it might reveal information about the story you don't want to know. That's you just click that button if you are the game master, because it's going to actually tell you how to set the battle up, how to control the enemies, what's going to happen, who's going to do what. However, if you are a player, there might be one of the buttons you can press is the I haven't actually thought of a name for it yet. I'm thinking pull rank. You'll see a button there'll be an annotation that says pull rank. You can only press that button if your captain has an elite talent slot, or if you have an admiral. If you have a low skill captain that doesn't have an elite talent or something like that, you can't press the button. Sorry. And this is to make the story more interesting, because there might be classified information that you aren't cleared to know about. But if you're an admiral, then oh yeah, sure, I can get that information. This kind of gives you more options. And if you have 2 players, if you're like a GM and you have 2 players, maybe one player can watch the video, maybe the other one can't. The player can choose to share the information if they want to, though. The other option is if you are playing through the game as another faction, maybe you've prestiged, or maybe you're just running through a second time, you might see faction-based buttons. Like at the end of the mission, or at the start of the mission, there'll be a button that says Klingon, and you press this button, and the mission briefing changes. And now,
suddenly General Martok is telling you what the mission is. You need to go here and show these people up. Blow up, they're dishonorable.
Or maybe it'll be Tamalak, and he's telling you that the Tal Shiar needs your assistance in this matter. Things like that. So at the moment, I only really have plans for 4 buttons. I might have more. If I do, I'll have to probably write information in the description explaining what they do, because I'm not here. So I have 4 buttons as a recap. Pull rank. Players can press pull rank to get more information about the mission and the story, and that's if you have a captain with an elite talent, or you have an admiral. You can press the button. If you are a game master, you press the setup button, and it teaches you how to run the mission. And if you have a different faction, you can click the other ones for more little story flair. There might also be a button that says investigate, and anyone can press the investigate button. And the investigate button just tells you additional information about the mission that I didn't include in the main video because I wanted to make it maybe short and to the point. And that's it for basic orientation. So, protagonists, players, you out there, you're free to go now. You're dismissed from class, as it were. So I'm planning to make 7 episodes. Tune in next week, or maybe even this week, to see if the first episode's up. Now, on to advanced orientation. For all you budding game masters. Okay, so this is probably going to be really long. First, let's start with the basics. What are you going to need? Bottom line. What ships do you need to play this game? Well, you're going to need 1 Federation ship for your player. You're going to need at least one Klingon ship, at least one Romulan ship, one Borg ship, and then one ship of a faction of your choosing. It should be something neutral, maybe Mirror Universe, Federation, or Independent. Could be like one of the other variants like Kazon or something. But this ship's purpose is to be like a trader or like a company or a freighter that might appear. So that's the bare minimum of what you'll need. You'll also need, of course, the game. That's a bit of a given. You'll need the game. You'll need to have the core set, either the original starter set or the 2017 starter set. Now, as for what I recommend you have, I recommend you have one Federation ship for every player. I recommend you have 2 Klingon ships, one which is tier 3 or lower, and one which is tier 4 or more. And if you're wondering what the tier system is, I have a video about it, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. So basically, one ship that's attack dice is 3 or less, and one ship that's attack dice is 4 or more. You will want the same thing for the Romulans. Maybe even have... Actually, I would say you need at least one tier 3 or less for the Romulans, and then 2 tier 3s or higher. And I'll just let something know, because I know I just said the tiers are basically their attack values. They aren't exactly that, because the Dideridex cruiser is a tier 4, and that's because of how hard it is to kill. So, you know, the Dideridex is good. So you want maybe, here's an example. What I'm planning on using in the game is one Bird of Prey, one D7, and 2 Dideridexes. That's what I'm planning to run in this. As for the Klingons I was mentioning, I'm planning to have actually 3 D7s and 2 Vorchas and maybe Burrell. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to actually run for the missions. But you don't need all of those. You need basically 1 or 2 low-powered Klingon ships and 1 or 2 high-powered Klingon ships. Now, I suggest you have an independent ship, maybe more. I personally suggest a Maquis Raider, because those are actually freighters, and there is going to be a freighter in the game. You could also maybe make it Ferengi ship, because those are traders. So that would make sense as well for the storyline. You're gonna want a ship that can play the role of like someone carrying things around. You will need a Borg ship. It doesn't matter how powerful it is. It's and it doesn't appear frequently, but you will need at least one Borg ship. Even if you have multiple players, you only really need one. Just make it a tougher one. And I would recommend you have more ships for your players, not just one Federation ship. I would recommend you have maybe 3, so if they prestige, they'll have actual other ships to use. So that's what you need for the game. So what, as a GM, do you do? Well, I'll break it down for you. First, you'll watch the video, and then you click the button that says Setup. I'll explain how you set up the things. It'll be similar to when you pull out those mission cards. It'll tell you how to run the game. Then you've got to sort of get into character here. The player comes, they got their ship, they put it on the board. You are the judge and you are the ref. It is you who decides whether they really succeeded or failed at the mission. You control the ships. If you're a little worried about who to attack, if you've got multiple players and you want to be fair on them, maybe roll a dice to determine who you're going to attack. If you have an AI system, like the Alliance system or what Crazy Vulcan's been working on, feel free to use one of those. Or you can just run it yourself, like as if, like the Wandering Inn Studios did, where they had a person who actually controlled the bad guys, like the Borg. So your job will be to play the role of the enemy. Balancing. Alright, so your players are going to have weird SP values because of the way they make their ship. I recommend each mission will probably have a recommended SP balance, and what the SP balance will probably be is the enemy ships should have an SP value in total between half of the player's SP value or as high as the player's SP value. It'll be a bit of a range because sometimes there's other factors to take into account. Like in the first mission, I'll tell you right now, in the first mission, it's more than just blow up the bad guy. There's other stuff going on. The players could ignore the bad guy for the most part and then just kill them at the end, you know. So it's not all about killing the players. You're trying to give them a fun time. But at the same time, hey, make it hard if you want to, if that's your thing. And if you really want to, you can play along as well. I might actually do that, but if you do, don't metagame. What metagame is meaning is it basically means cheating. Don't cheat. Okay, so what is the protagonist? I've mentioned the protagonist before, or the player. I probably shouldn't say the player, because the GM is in fact a player. In fact, I'm using the word in fact a lot, aren't I? In fact, I'm in fact. But yeah, you are a player as well. You are flying the ships around. There might be a mission. There's actually a mission where if there's one player, you're going to be flying more ships than they are. But the thing is your ship is not going to be the same from mission to mission. You can get blown up every game without consequence. You are the side characters, except for the people I voice. Actually, feel free to put voices on if you want. That's always fun. But yeah, so the protagonist player, they select a ship, and they use the same ship every time. Actually, you probably already know that because you probably listened to basic orientation in order to get to advanced orientation. So I'm not going to bother you with that. What I will let you know about is how to progress. So at the end of the video, here's an example. I'll use the first mission because I've got the first mission pretty much worked out. If the players have reached a full success, they will get to pick a tech upgrade for their ship of SP cost 3 or less. Now, if they have no slots available that are tech, they can choose any upgrade they want. But if they do have a tech slot available, they have to pick a tech upgrade. And it'll be 3 SP or less. Now, if they succeed in the mission, they will be able to purchase a tech upgrade from any faction. If they fail the mission, they'll still be able to pick a tech upgrade of 3 SP or less, but it will have to be a Federation upgrade. That'll be the trade-off. And different missions might have different trade-offs. For instance, some missions you might only be able to pick a Federation upgrade, but a success might mean you pick a 5 SP upgrade, and a failure means you pick a 4 SP upgrade. So that's how the players progress. I should also mention that there is not a point cap here. There isn't this 40 SP point cap. And some players may not get anywhere near 40 SP, depending on the ship that they choose. If they choose something with a few slots that's very cheap, like a generic NX class. Although, generic NX class might be a smart choice, because you get a good captain, and you can probably prestige by, like, the 3rd mission. But actually, that's a good point. I should probably move on to what prestiging is. I've mentioned that a few times. So, prestiging... Oh, wait, no, I have one thing to cover. Discounts. You know how certain ships... let's use the example of the USS Pegasus. The USS Pegasus's named ability is all tech upgrades cost 1 less point. If a player... Let's say mission 1, right? At the end of mission 1... select a 3-point tech upgrade. Because the ship has a discount, or if they have any discount cards on their thing, the discount applies before it's purchased. So it means if they want to pick up a tech upgrade, they can actually choose a tech upgrade of 4 SP or less, as opposed to 3 SP or less. If they have 2 cards which discount it, so they got a total of a 2-point discount, then they could, and they're supposed to receive a 3 SP upgrade, they could get a 5 SP upgrade. That's how the discounts work. However, if they don't have the slot, like they don't have the tech slot, they can't apply the discount to any other upgrade they get. So let's say I'm flying the Pegasus, and I, for some reason, don't have a tech slot, and it says, pick a 4 SP upgrade. I could choose a 5 SP tech upgrade, but I don't have a tech slot. So instead, I could choose any other upgrade. But I don't get it at 5 SP. I have to choose it at the 4 SP like everyone else. So that's how the discounts work. Okay, on to prestiging. This is cool. All right. So if your ship all its slots get loaded, so you fill every single slot, and if your captain happens to have an elite talent, you also fill the elite talent slot. You prestige. And what that means is you can now select a second ship. You go through the same ship selecting process where you choose a ship, you look at the SP value, and then you pick your captain. But you can choose to mix factions now. I would suggest avoid letting players play as the Borg, because I don't know how you'll fit the Borg into the story. And the onus will be on either you or the player to figure out how it fits into the story. Like, multiclassing into Klingon, that's easy. Sorry, prestiging into Klingon, that's easy. You just say, oh, well, this is a Klingon. Klingons are members of the Federation. He's on a Federation mission. Same with Vulcans or even independent. Maybe this person's a private investigator and they're going on this mission. Romulans is actually pretty easy. You could be a Tal Shiar investigator. Kazon, not sure how you fit the Kazon in. Dominion, not sure how you fit the Dominion in, but I'll leave the option up to you. Maybe you make a Federation captain with a Dominion ship and you say, oh, it's a salvaged Dominion ship. So that's what prestiging is. And the important part of prestiging is you now have 2 ships. You do not fly 2 ships into battle. What happens is before the mission, the player can choose which ship they wish to fly into battle. And when they get their upgrade, they have to put the upgrade on the ship that has a slot available. So if I flew my Pegasus, prestiged it, and picked up Maquis Raider, all my rewards, regardless of which ship I go on, will be going on my Maquis Raider, because that's the only one with slots available. That actually brings me to another important part, discards. Whenever you discard a card or remove a card from play, it is still part of your ship. So on your next mission, you keep it. Same applies for any cards you steal. Those are not part of your ship. They're not part of your ship loadout. If you steal a card from an enemy using like a Kazon upgrade, which lets you pick cards from your enemy, you don't get to keep those cards in the next mission. That's not how that works. Your ship is the same from episode to episode minus the rewards. The rewards are what stay with you. So if you discard a photon torpedo upgrade, the player gets it back. So that's how it works. People get their cards back. Alright, so what's next? Right, actually, so those are all the main rules. On to the homebrew rules. So these are rules I may suggest or strongly suggest, but you don't technically need to play with any of these. First and foremost, flying off the board. In this game, I would not consider flying off the board a feat unless the mission specifically states so. I would consider flying off the board a mission failure, but a ship preserved. Which brings me to another excellent point. Uniques. There are several ways to run unique cards. I would allow it. So it's player unique, which means player 1 can run Captain Picard and player 2 can run Captain Picard. But they can't both run 2 Picards. You can't have like a Spock Captain Spock crew on one ship. But you could have one player have a Spock captain and another player have a Spock captain or Spock crew instead. However, this is the juicy part. If a ship dies, all those uniques on the ship are banned for that player to use until the end of the campaign. So if I make a ship and I've got Picard 9 and I'm like, oh, I'm so great, I picked a low point ship and I grabbed Picard and I'm gonna be great, and then he blows up in the first mission, guess what? You're not allowed any of the Picards now. But hey, the player who's playing beside them, let's say there's 2 players and 1 GM, that player can use Picard 9. He hasn't died yet for him. The other version is where you just say uniques are unique for the whole game. So that means player 1 chooses Picard, then player 2 cannot choose Picard. You won't have that problem if you're, running this with just 1 player. Although I would more than 1 player, that'll be fun. I'm going to be running it with 2 players. So anyway, that's how the uniques I'm thinking are working. Mixing factions, that's another thing here. So the other homebrew rule I'm using, and to me this is almost like an unofficial errata, is mirror universe ships are all multi-faction, and you just gotta like look at them to figure out what faction they are. And the reason I think this, more or less, is because of the Calvin timeline. The Calvin faction pack, it comes with 2 Enterprises and 2 Klingon Warbirds. Almost all of the Federation cards are Mirror Universe Federation, and then almost all the Klingon cards are Mirror Universe Klingon, at least for like the crew and the ships and the captains. Also, Assimilation Target Prime from the newest Borg pack, that's also a dual faction. That's Mirror Universe Borg. So to me, I would recommend, especially if you have a small selection, allowing like the Federation players to choose Federation Mirror Universe cards as well. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. That's just an option. Now my other rule here that I would recommend, but you do not at all need to use. This is something I was thinking of to be more thematic, because after all, this is like a story campaign. Torpedoes. As an added ability for torpedoes, a player may choose to discard the torpedoes to convert all hits into crits. This discard will stack on other discard abilities. For example, the USS Valiant has an ability where if you discard a torpedo upgrade, you get an extra dice. You could, with this ability that I'm saying is in the game, but you don't need to play with it, you could discard, get your extra dice, roll it, and that then converts in, if it's a hit, it converts into a crit. This is mainly because, well, let's face it, we all know that torpedoes are underwhelming. And in like the shows and the movies, if you launch a torpedo at a ship that has no shields, it is devastating. It like punches through one side of the ship and out the other sometimes. It's like crazy. So the idea is, yeah, torpedoes, they're going to be super deadly if you can land a hit. And all the other text on the torpedo still stands, because frankly a lot of the text on the torpedo sucks. But you can throw this rule out if you want to. It's not important at all. So on to the last note, my upload schedule. I run these games once a week, and I will probably be uploading the videos day of, or night before, or day after. So we're looking at anywhere Sunday, Saturday, or Monday. However, I do have a life, and the people I play with have a life, and that means we're not always able to run our games on time. So I might not always be able to upload an episode every week. If that happens, I'm going to see if I can upload something else, like maybe one of my other videos. But the only other option is I upload them all at once, but I don't think I want to do that for several reasons. One, I might discover there's a huge balance problem in the system that I made, and I might need to change the rules for future missions. And that's actually everything. That's the end of the video. So hopefully episode 1 will be up this week. It might not. I'm not quite sure. I do have to hunt down my Starfleet costume because, yeah, I'm gonna like record these and be in them. Anyway, oh, one last thing. I encourage you, if you are playing, to record the name of the ship, and what's it called? Yeah, record the name of the ship, and then like actually what ship they're playing. So like, you know, oh, it's the USS Deliverance, and then like in brackets, Enterprise D starter set. And put that in the comments and like say whether on each video, and let me know whether or not they're winning or losing. Like, oh hey, my players botched this mission. They let the space station crash into the planet. Stuff like that. Or if a bunch of people say, hey, this mission actually sucks and is super duper hard, maybe I can go back and fix it. So yeah, feedback's appreciated, and I'm really hoping that this turns into something cool. Enjoy!